touches and nose boops with the palm of our hand. We can use this as a way to get our dog ready for training, refocus them, or even redirecting them away from something.
Sit. Yes. Yes. Down. Yes. Sit. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Yes. Sit. Sit. Yes. Good.
Pickles, come.
For come when called, we're going to say her name and then come. As soon as she turns to look at us, that's where we're going to mark yes and begin praising her all the way to you. And then she gets her reward. It's really important that we do that praise all the way to her right now while she's young and learning, so that we keep her engaged with us and keep her coming towards us. So you can see there we practiced like some out of sight, and then we moved outside of the backyard to the front yard on a long leash, so that we're getting practice in lots of different environments that are more distracting, but still able to follow through with that cue.
Good girl.
Place means go there, lay down, and stay there until released. Pickles' release word is free, and that means she is free to get up. So here what we're practicing is kind of in a formal training format where I'm practicing duration between reinforcement, distance that I can move away from her, as well as some mild distractions of me opening doors, sitting down, dropping something on the floor, etc. So as she's in her place, right, I cue her place. Once she is on the bed and laying down, I'm going to mark yes and give her the treat by tossing it onto the bed. It's really important that we toss that treat onto the bed so that she knows all the food reward comes to her on the bed and she does not need to get up and try to meet us for it. Then you can see that as I move around and do different things, that I'm coming back periodically and rewarding her. That reward says, good job and keep it up. As she gets better, you just do a little less and a little less reward with more duration of time between each reinforcement. If at any point she gets up, you just simply reset her, send her back to her place, and start again. When you're ready to let her up, you're going to use the cue free, and that tells her she is free to get up and move around. Another way to practice is by setting out to deliberately work on distractions. So in this scenario, I've asked her to place, and then I'm having my son play kind of a game of Simon Says, where I ask him to do things like run across the room, jump up and down, spin around, crawl on the floor, right? Just kind of do wild things. And then periodically I'm rewarding her as she stays put on her place. You can do this even without young kids, right? You can do things like run, jump up and down, drop things, just make a lot of noise, just ways to kind of build her ability to continue to hold that stay even under distraction. Wait means stop and do not go any further. So when I say wait, I'm drawing an imaginary line and telling her she cannot cross it. She's allowed to be sit down, standing, or even walk around as long as she's not crossing that line I drew. So in that scenario, I've asked her to wait while I go up and down the stairs. When I want her to come with me, then I can use that release word free to let her, come on down and cross that line again. But the nice thing about wait is if you're not going to let her cross the line, like in this scenario with the front door, then you never have to release it, right? I've told her to wait, and then she's not allowed to. If she starts to come towards the door like she just did there, then I'm going to reset her. We're going to start over, send her back, ask her to wait, and then go. She is choosing to kind of sit and almost do a stay, but she's not required to. She could be in a down, in a stand, or even move around back through the house as long as she does not cross that line. Around the house, this is particularly useful around stairs, so you don't have a dog that is tripping you going up or down stairs. When you're stepping out the door to get a package or anything, so that you're not pushing a dog back and trying to keep them from darting out a door. This can also be helpful for rooms where you might be just trying to go into the bathroom to grab something, and you don't really want her to follow you into that room. You can tell her to wait, go into that room, and then come back out and shut the door behind you. Just like we're doing with the front door, where she can't cross that line because now there's a barrier. And so that's why I don't have to release it in that situation. Here's us kind of working on advancing it and practicing it out and about when we're not around a very clear threshold. So we're out walking. I tell her to wait. She knows that means stop and do not go any further. And I continue to walk on. And then when I'm ready, I can tell her free to come on with me. You can also practice this anytime you're going to take her out for a walk. Ask her to wait. And then when you're ready to go on the walk, you can tell her free so she knows she can go through that front door. Leave it means back away from the thing you were about to get into. So here I'm just dropping some treats. I tell her to leave it. As soon as she backs away, mark yes and reward her.
Yes, good girl.
Drop it means let go of the thing that is in your mouth.
Yes, good girl.
Go Say Hi is a way for her to politely greet guests, whether they're coming inside the house or you're greeting them out on a walk. She loves people, and so of course she has a tendency to kind of be a little jumpy and bouncy about it. So Go Say Hi is a way for her to greet politely. So here what I'm doing is kind of setting up a pretend situation. I've got my son outside and he's knocking on the door. I ask her to place, and this is what it would look like right with a guest. You ask her to place, they come in, and then you would have them put out their hand in kind of a touch format, but they don't have to say anything. They just put their hand out. And then you're going to cue her, go say hi. She goes, she boops their hand. You're going to mark yes. And she's going to come back to you for that treat, and then you can send her back to her place. So this is kind of that in-between practice. Instead of just waiting for real guests, make sure you guys are practicing at home so she gets the idea. You can do this just like I did, send somebody outside to knock on the door and practice. You can also do this by waiting, like when one of you guys are coming home, let the other one know and practice in that moment, because she'll be a little bit more excited because she didn't just see you walk out the door. So it's a little bit more realistic. And it's a great way to practice without feeling the rush to let an actual guest in if she's not holding still. So here we did it again, only this time I had my husband and my son. Put on your acting skills, pretend they're a guest, do hugs or however you would normally greet people so that it's a little bit more exciting. And then you can do go say hi, and you do it individually for each person, and then you can send her back to place before doing it again. If you were doing this out on a walk, the only difference would be you wouldn't have your place, and you just ask her to sit next to you and then release her to go say hi.
Yes, good girl. Nice job.
All right, so I'm out here on a walk with Pickles. She has been doing so great with leash walking. She's really very pleasant to take out on a walk. So I've got her on my side. She knows she needs to stay on my side. She can be a little in front as long as that leash is loose. She does have some leeway. She doesn't have to be right next to me all the time, but she does spend the majority of her time kind of right next to me. What you're going to do kind of throughout the walk, really the main thing and only thing you need to do with her is just continue to be rewarding her for kind of making good choices. So when she's walking nicely the way you want, we're going to reward that. So before I get back to that, I also want to mention, because it's happening now, here is sniffing. We do want to allow her time to sniff. She needs to potty. Good girl. Letting them have that opportunity to sniff is really important. And then when you're ready to go, you can just cue her, let's go, if she hasn't already moved forward. So we're going to keep going here. So kind of back to what I was saying about rewarding good choices. That is when she's walking nicely right here, the way I want her to, right? I'm going to say yes and reward her right at my side. It's really important that you're rewarding her right at your side. Let's go, Pickles. So that she knows that this is kind of where all the good stuff happens. So I'm going to let her sniff. When I'm ready to go, I'm going to say, let's go. Yes, good girl. Start moving. And then I'm going to reward her when she follows through. So that is going to be kind of encompassed in that good choices. But when she's just walking really nicely like this, yes, good girl. And you're just going to periodically throughout the walk, good girl, continue to praise her, reward her. Yes, right? She's walking really nicely. Good girl. If she wants to stop and sniff, again, I'm okay with that as long as it's within length of the leash. Yes, good girl. And she's not pulling me or dragging me in that direction. But again, when I'm ready to go, I'm just going to say, let's go. Good girl. Nice job. Yes. And you don't have to only reward her when she's right next to you looking at you. But as long as she's kind of walking nicely, yes. And she definitely has gotten this down where she knows if she goes too far ahead, she'll stop and turn around. Oh, sniff there. Let's go. Good girl. Nice job, Pickles. Come on. Good job. Lots of good smells out today, huh? Yes. Good girl. Nice job. So you're just rewarding her for walking the way you want. This teaches her to what you want her to walk versus only, talking to her when she's doing what you don't want. So that's kind of the big thing here is, right, we're teaching her what we do want her to do, which is walking, with that nice loose leash. Yes, good girl. And then over time, as she gets better and better, you'll just slowly wean out how often you have to reward. But she's already doing so great with this, even in more distracting environments like the park. Right now, we're just in the neighborhood for a walk. Good girl. Even if you're not always treating her, make sure that you're staying engaged with her. So you're talking to her, praising her. Good girl. That's a good girl, Pickles. Yes. Right. You want to keep her engaged with you so that when you do need her for any reason, that she is already kind of in the zone to pay attention and give you that engagement back. Good girl. You're such a good girl, Miss Pickles. Huh? It's trash day, so lots of distractions today. Sniffs. Let's go. Yes, good girl. Nice job. Come on. So really, that's the main thing with Pickles. She's not a puller. Yes, did you see that moment right there? She just went ahead a little bit, and then instead of continuing to go on, she turned around and waited for me. That was wonderful, and that is definitely one of those good choices you want to make sure you're rewarding. If she starts to cross like she just did here, I'm simply going to kind of guide her back over, step around her, and keep going so that I can keep her on the side that I want her on. Good girl, Pickles. Yes. And again, making sure you're rewarding with the hand closest to her is going to make a huge difference. You don't want to be crossing your body to reward her, or she's going to start meeting you in the front and you'll be tripping over her. So it's really important that you make sure you are rewarding her directly with the hand next to her and at that side. Oh, you're scared of the trash? Let's go. You're all right. Come on. Just a bag of trash. Yes, good girl. One other thing I'll mention, just because she got a little weirded out by that trash on the ground, is that she does get a little nervous, yes, about fast-moving cars next to her. So just kind of being aware. When I've walked her near a street with a busier street, she just needs a little bit more cheerleading to keep her going and moving. But otherwise, she's fantastic. Yes, she does a great job of ignoring other dogs on walks. And kind of minding her own business, which is really great. She does love people a lot more than she likes dogs, but she still does a great job of kind of minding her own business unless someone tries to talk to her. Let's go. Too many good smells down this way, huh? Yes. So she starts getting distracted a lot. Just kind of up your reinforcement for a little bit. Yes. To kind of get her back on track and focused. Good girl. Yes. But this is really it with Pickles. She's doing so great. She's not a puller. It's really just continuing to reward her for walking right next to you and nicely. Let's go, Pickles. So as she gets better with everything, you can kind of up her training by taking her out and about. So in this situation, I'm practicing her place in the front yard. So while we're still at home, this is way more distracting, right? There are cars going by. There may or may not be people walking by, right? It's a little bit more distracting because the front yard is not a place she spends time in like the backyard. So I've just got her on a long leash so she can't go anywhere if she did decide to get up. I can quickly grab a leash or step on it. But we're practicing just like we would inside the house. We're just doing this outside where there's now more distraction. So you can do this with all of her cues. Start by practicing out in the front yard on a long leash. Come, leave it, sit, down, stay, place. All of those things outside in the front yard. And then you can move to other places. So here in this video, we're practicing come when called at the vet's office where we do group classes. So I had her out in the green area, and you can see we're practicing her recall. She does amazing. She knows that, and as long as we keep rewarding that, she's going to do great.
Pickles, come.
Here's at the park also. So again, have her on that long leash that gives you like 20 feet so she can kind of get away from you. And it's a little bit more realistic, but with still keeping safety in mind by having her on leash. This is also at the park, so we're practicing sit, down, all those basics that she can do at home.
Yes.
But now we're trying and seeing if she can do it again in a more distracting environment. There's people walking by, dogs, kids, all the distractions. When you start taking her to the park to practice this, you want to start kind of on low times. So this was like a Monday afternoon where the park had people, there were dogs, there were, a good stream of people, but it wasn't super crowded. I'm not asking her to do this for the first time out and about in a really crowded environment. So we start kind of out and about, but when it's not as busy, maybe during the weekday versus a Saturday afternoon. You can also do places like Home Depot or PetSmart, other dog-friendly locations To practice place, you could also take her to a patio restaurant and sit with her and have her place while you eat. Just again, when you're out and about with her right now, be prepared to up that reinforcement just a little bit because she's in a new context practicing. Leave it.
Yes, good girl.
Leave it.
Yes, good girl.
Here is us practicing wait at the vet's office where we hold group classes on the weekends. So again, just applying it to a new location, somewhere different, to see if she can still continue to do as awesome as she does at home when she's out and about.
Good girl. Nice job.
And as you can see, she is a rock star at home and out in public. She is a really great dog and doing so amazing with all her training. And that's a wrap on Pickles training.